Hi there, this is David Dingo for Dingo Servo mounts. Just looking at our new low profile mount and how to put one together. It's a little bit different to the Micro 8, although a lot of the same principles apply. So here goes. You will need a kit of parts, which all come in a little plastic bag, and you will also need a 9G servo. This is a Tower Pro clone. Alternatively, you can use the Hobby King ones as per the instruction sheets, which are there to download on the website. Also need to go to the downloads page and download the instructions for the low profile mount, and then we'll move on with that. The low profile mount is a little tricky in that if you look at a folded unit, it needs to be folded in this particular way. So you've got the two slots on the left hand side here for the switch, and yeah, obviously then on the opposite side the foot plate bends over that way and the two arms come up this way. It has to be folded that way, otherwise the unit won't work. So take some time, make sure you've got it right. The same with the slider. The slider needs to be in that direction, in other words, the short arm on the right and the four holes like that, and then that will fold down the correct way, otherwise it won't fit together. So take some time, make sure you've got it right before you fold it, because sadly with aluminium, once you fold it, it's folded. You can't fold it the other way. So let's have a look at how that works. This is my trusty folding jig, and we need to just do the folds on these two pieces. So as I said, we need to turn it so that the two screw slots are on the left hand side, and once that's in place, then we can fold it down that way. So the screw slots are there that way. Put that against your folding block or the edge of the table, whatever you're using, and then just fold it down that way. So a quick push on the bottom to bring it up to 90 degrees, and there you have it. So the holes are still on the left, the foot plate bends away from that, and now obviously the two wings just fold the opposite direction. So very simply just fold them over, both over that way, the opposite way to the foot plate, and you have the unit. And with this particular mount you can bend them almost to 90 degrees. One thing I forgot to mention before you start is to make sure that the arms actually slide in the holes, and there's no swarf on the arms that would catch on that. So that's all nice and slidey, no problem. Now we come to this piece, and as I said before, you need to fold it in that particular way. So the short side to the right, put it down like that, and then just fold that down so you can see which way it is. Short side towards me, and I'm folding down over here, and that just folds the whole unit into place, and that is then perfect. Now we can move the bending jig out of the way, having done everything we need to do with that. Now open up the servo itself, and I have one of these little gadgets which I bought off eBay for a couple of quid, and I always just like to pop the servo on and make sure that it operates nicely. This is quite a nice one, it doesn't make too much noise and it operates nice and smoothly, so I'm happy with that. We will also at a later stage use the little trick on this one which gives you a centering position. So if you push that knob until it goes to the middle, your servo is now centered, which is quite useful. So move that out of the way. The next trick with this one is that we need to put the unit in that direction, so the motor goes in from the back, but the spindle needs to be on the opposite side to the switch slots, opposite side from the switch slots, the screw. Now all our new mounts come with threaded holes in the back of the main unit, so you don't need nuts or anything like that. It's just a question of dropping the two screws in there. Alright, so small screw there, screwdriver there, and just run it into the threaded hole. And the same on the other side. On the other side, okay, so we now have our motor mounted, spindle opposite side from the screw, the same slots, and the foot plate at the back over the motor. The next thing on this is to put the switch on. The two 10mm screws go through the switch. The switch needs to be with its lever pointing downwards, and the little nut plate goes on the back, and we just run those screws into the nut plate. Now what you need to do is to push the switch right to the back of the plate so that it's furthest away from the motor, and we leave it in that situation. Now we did center this particular motor, and so we can, what I use is this particular one. The motor has been centered, so we need to put that in as close to a vertical position as possible. Try not to move the gears while you're doing that. All the way in, and this little tiny screw which holds that in place, and screw that down. You can, if you like, just pop it onto the unit again. And make sure that it all works to both sides quite happily. And there we go. Job done. Now we come back to this little animal, the slider. All these holes over here have been tapped M2, and you have some very tiny little screws in the kit, little M2x3s, which need to go into these particular holes. Now, these two holes are common, and you can put your wire down that way if you wanted to drive it normally as per this one. Alternatively, you can put your wire through that way and then use that extra screw there, which will allow you to use it as a pull unit, or you can put a kink in this wire coming up here so you can use it as an offset, so that you can get around bits and pieces under the layout which may well be in the way. So you just need to make up your mind where you're going to put that and put the other screw in accordingly. In this case I'm going for a standard, so it's just the 3 that way, and then your actuator wire will go in that direction. That's pretty much all the bits put together. Now all we need to do is put the two things together, and the best way to do that is to slide the short end through its slide there and then bring it back into this side here. Just make sure that everything slides nice and easily. Just make sure that everything is all nice and square and true, and it all slides the way it's supposed to, which is perfect. There we go. All nice and smooth. Now, what we're going to do now is put this little M1.6 screw through the slot here, and I would suggest you catch the first hole, the hole closest to the center shaft, closest to the center shaft of the plastic actuator there. So I'll pop that in there and then just run that up a little bit so it bites nice into the plastic. Don't run it too tight because you don't want the screw to catch on the back of the motor. Once that's in place, we can then do one more test. And lo and behold, our unit is working perfectly. Now it can be fitted to the layout with the two flange screws which come in the kit, and then you can fit the actuator wire in place. I always suggest that you lock up that center screw first. Once that's locked, you can then adjust it to make it in the right position, and once you've set up your servo and the endpoints are all set with whatever controller you're using, you can then release the two screws here and slide the switch into position so that it just activates when the servo comes to that side. Lock it up and it's job done. It's a good one. I thank you for watching, and I hope that you'll give this one a try. I think it's a really nice little unit. Thank you.